Welcome to the Men Refine podcast. This is a project to help men to recover their identity in Christ through relationships and tools to be better men, husbands, and fathers for our community. Hey friends, welcome to the Men Refined podcast. Today in the room we have Ad Vogel. Ad, how's it going, man?
It's going good. Going really good.
It was where did fall go?
I don't know, but you know what? I got my sweatpants on. It feels really good right now.
Okay, whatever that means. TMI.
It means I'm super cozy. And then your dog Grace here is super cozy too, laying on this plush carpet.
She likes to hang out.
I can see that.
What's new, man?
New elections coming up. Kind of crazy.
How many days until election day?
I can't count, man. I don't know how to do math.
When is election day?
November 8th, right?
November 8th?
Right?
I don't remember.
I mean, I already filled out my ballot.
Okay. We just got it last week.
My ballot's really just like one big line down.
November 8th.
November
It's a
8th.
Tuesday.
Isn't it always on a Tuesday? Yeah,
I don't know.
My brain, I don't compartmentalize these things. I don't log them. You know what I mean? I don't create a note of when election days are. But I do think that like they're always on a Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I don't know. When election day is coming, do you have different thoughts about election? Where I'm coming, I'm an immigrant. Where I'm coming from in Venezuela, whoever is listening, Venezuela, there's a dictatorship in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Okay. But when I lived in Venezuela, I was able to cast my vote for the first time after I turned 18.
Did you vote for the dictator?
I did not.
And how many people do you think actually voted for the dictator? And it's Maduro, right?
Yeah, I don't think nobody actually votes for him. But that's okay. Let's
go back and like, how do you think it started?
What?
How
are
do
you
you
talking
think
about?
It's Nicolas Maduro is the dictator in Venezuela. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
How did it start? How did he come to the stage and present his ideas? And were people like clapping their hands, excited to see this dude? What was it about him, or did he just come in and he convinced the army to be on his side? What happened? Give us a little background on, because Venezuela used to be the richest country in South America, and now it's like the poorest.
I don't want to dwell too much on this, but I will say this: he came to power after Chavez died of cancer. I don't know the exact date, but so since then, Chavez says pretty much, this is my successor. I want you to vote for him, quote unquote, vote for him. Elections are rigged in Venezuela. Okay, that's just reality. And then he's just staying in power because that's what dictatorship happened. Like it has never happened. You have never seen in history a dictator leaving the government house on its own merit because somebody voted him out.
Okay, so here's my main point.
Nowhere in history happened. Every time a dictatorship fails is because somebody kills somebody.
Oh yeah.
It's through violence.
But was there anyone in Venezuela excited? Any civilian like, oh my gosh, I love this guy. This guy's amazing. He's saying everything that I love to hear. I'm soaking it in. You guys are crazy conspiracy theorists that don't believe that this guy has our best interest in mind.
Well,
was there anyone like at the beginning? Because now like I believe that everyone's like, oh, this guy's a crooked piece of garbage because my life is utter miserable. It's misery. Was there anyone that's like at the very beginning, like did he put on the charm?
He has no charm.
But how was he? That's what I want to know. Like, how was he at the beginning of his quote unquote dictatorship? He is a dictator now, obviously, but
yes.
How was he at the very, very beginning? Because people change. Like their true person comes out over time. Right?
He was in government with Chavez, and then Chavez per se, quote unquote, he was the real deal. He was the one that people voted for because he was bringing new ideas. He was breaking out of the corrupt politicians that we all grew up with.
Okay, so Chavez was good.
No.
So he was the seed of socialism in Venezuela.
Definitely. Yeah,
Okay,
everything started with him.
With Chavez. And so
Here's the thing. Chavez actually organized a coup against Carlos Andres Perez, which he was president at the time. I don't remember the dates. He organized a coup. He took a tank and he went through the White House in Venezuela. A tank. He destroyed a bunch of stuff. He wanted it to take over the presidency by force. He got caught. He went to jail. A new president is installed. While he's in jail, this president, Caldera, he pardons Chavez. Chavez comes out like a big shot now, right? and he's like, well, now I'm the big deal. And he started running for president. He started saying, he started pushing out socialist ideas. And what happened? People want everything to be given to them freely.
You see, this is where I'm getting at, like, because
freely.
There's always a start, right? And there's always people
That's how everything starts.
Oh, wow.
The big rich people. Now you got the poor people. Here in the States is the big rich, the middle class is being oppressed by the rich. Mm-hmm. We gotta tax the rich. We gotta give some tax. We gotta remove the taxes from the middle class, right? So that's where everything started in Venezuela, though.
Yeah, because it's not fair that these people have so much money, right?
Of course.
And I have very little money, so therefore this guy should give me his money.
Right? That's fair. Isn't that equity or equality?
Yeah, it's
equity.
Well, they're trying to say, equity I think has something to do with race and gender and all this kind of jazz.
What about equality?
Well, I think equality is good.
So someone said this. I kind of like wrote it down and probably butchered it out. It says equality is that age-old idea that everybody's equal to be treated equally, mm-hmm. and that everybody want to play by the same rules and have the same opportunities. Equity is the idea that everybody ought to end up at the same place, and then if they're not ending up in the same place, I guess when I say everybody, I doesn't mean individuality, but that we have to rationalize everyone and have everyone as a group and not as individuals. And so groups need to have the same outcomes. If groups are not having the same outcomes, then the assumption is that's because of racism and in the system. Yeah. And equity says we then need to, deconstruct the system to whatever degree we need in order to get to this equal outcome. So if I start at one point, I need to end up exactly where you are. If you and I start this race at the same line, you and I both need to end up at the same time at the finish line.
Yeah.
And if we don't, right? If we don't, then there's a problem. We need to figure out what's going on.
But think about this. Equity is exhausting, man. No, but not for the person being carried. So in my family, we do have equity, right? It's called me carrying my kid up the stairs. We just took a trip to Ireland, and we all actually had to end up at the same place at the same time.
Right.
But my 4-year-old is slow, and my 10-month-old doesn't know how to walk, dude. And so these dudes have to be carried, right?
Where's the equality, though?
They're all part of the same family, but the equity, because it's my family, these kids have to be carried. But you know what? I'm not going to be carrying a dude that's not my family up the stairs. The thing. My point is, dude, it's exhausting carrying this 4-year-old up 1,000 stairs from the side of a cliff in Ireland. We went down to a castle, right? The child almost killed herself by falling off a cliff. I had to, prevent that from happening.
Where was her dad?
I was right there with her, right? I was grabbing her, but I had to hold her. No one was holding me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's because I'm a damn man.
Yeah.
I don't need to be held.
Do you need anybody to hold you?
No, I don't. Sometimes my wife.
Okay.
But that's another story.
That's another story.
But here's the thing, dude. But I had to carry this kid. Equity's exhausting, right? But the people that are for it, right? They're the little kids that want to be held, right? Because my kid, she doesn't care. She wants equity, right? She wants to go to the car at the same time as me, but she doesn't want to do the work by going up the stairs. All these people crying about equity, they're the little kids that are being carried by the parent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
That's good.
And then the people that are like, no equity, because they're the parents going, you know what? You walk yourself, kid, right? But then you know what we do? Hey, if you go up these stairs by yourself, we'll go get some ice cream.
Now you're buying your kids off.
Right? We're like, oh my gosh, this kid just got to be quiet. This is annoying. But then you know what happens when you give in to those kids all the time? They turn into 15-year-olds that feel like you have to carry them too. And that's even more exhausting.
I thought I read that somewhere.
But then they become adults, right? Dude, we talked about this last episode, man, because I had to kick this 19-year-old out of my house, or I had to start charging him rent because he was like, you know what? We're equal, Dad. This is equity here.
Yeah, how equal? You're not equal to me, buddy.
There was this time when I had him pull weeds in the backyard, and it was frustrating at the time, but it's hilarious looking back at. And I said, Aiden, dude, you need to go in the backyard, pull these weeds. I'm working here. I'm doing my fair share of the work on the household. There's some weeds in the backyard. I don't have time, but you're my son. You do what I tell you to do because you live here rent free, right? Go pull the weeds, please. Because I'm trying to be polite, but I don't. Do I need to say please?
Why not?
Yeah, show
Because you gotta teach your kids
some manners, right?
Some manners,
Right,
right?
so-
So,
so
yes,
Aiden,
definitely, please. It's
please.
important.
Sometimes I can be a little rude. Ask my wife. But anyway, I go, so Aiden, go. I need you to go pull the weeds. Here's my famous line to my kids. Here's what I need you to do. Right, so here's what I need you to do, Aiden. Go out in the backyard. I need you to pull some weeds, please. Thank you so much. All right, bye.
Have a good day. Goodbye.
Get it done.
Take a picture. Send it to me when
Right.
it's done.
So about an hour goes by, and he comes into my office, and he starts throwing. He tries to be a man about it, but you can see like underneath the facade, there's this little boy just like bubbling and boiling up, and go about a tantrum is about to happen. And he goes, Dad, it's just too hard to pull these weeds. I said, what? If they're just weeds, just grab them, pull them out of the ground, go to the next one. It's you put some music on, it's mindless work. And he's like, how about this, Dad? How about I just spray them with weed killer, come back 2 weeks, and then pull them out that. And then I'm like, how about you get them done right now? Because I don't want to see them anymore. Right? So he storms off, upset, and he starts pulling the weeds. And I go to spy on him in the backyard. And he's like flipping out. He's flipping out, and he's throwing a tantrum. And I just see him just
Right there in the middle of the grass.
right there in the middle. And then all of a sudden he postures up and he points his hand, the back of his hand, towards my office, right where I would be.
Oh no.
And he extends a finger.
No way.
And then he looks up and he sees that I'm staring at him.
Oh man.
And I start laughing, right? But here's where I respect my son. He owned it. And he kept it there. And then he gave me a big smile and realized that he was being a doofus. Right. And so then what happened, right? So I showed like this is where we're not equal. Right. So I went down there and I started showing him how to pull the weeds. And I was just an animal with this ripping these weeds out. They're coming out in seconds. Right. And I said, and I threw them in the bucket. I said, Aiden, that's how a man does it.
Did you ever get to make a TikTok video on that?
Dude.
That would have been fantastic. Talking about culture, bro.
Listen,
I'm telling you.
Leave it. Now it's a story. Now you got to leave it up to the imagination.
Man.
Right? But seriously.
I would have loved to see a TikTok on that.
But bro, right? This dude wants equity, right? But like what it is, he wants equality of outcome. But you know what? Your muscles aren't as big as mine, dude. You don't have the history that I have, right? That got me to where I am. But these people, what he wants to be where I am without the work that gets put into it. Right. So it's like, so I showed him, I said, hey, Aiden, see what I just did? That's how a man does it. And I'll get it done. And he saw an example of how I did it and that he wants to be a man. So here's the thing. These people screaming for equity, they want to be up there. Right. But you know what? The thought, the idea of the work behind it is exhausting. The thought of having to do it. So instead of what they find out was what's easier, instead of actually putting any effort into what they're doing, it's easier just to complain. It's easier to call your representative, right? And have them try to fight your battles for you because you know what? I really don't have time for that. And I want to do what I want to do. And just the effort. I mean, this is where you see this whole like virtue signaling, the whole wokeness. It's people that it's much easier. They got into the habit and the mindset that being behind a screen, jotting down your opinion or posting some sort of virtuous thing.
Yeah, just tweet around, right? Just send that tweeter, buddy.
It's just as
those
good.
Trolls,
That's
those
just
bunch
as
of
good, right?
trolls.
Yeah.
And election day is obviously November 8th. So we're talking about, we're recording this episode on October the 27th today.
Yeah.
We're talking about 12 days to election day.
How do you think people are going to vote, right?
Man, I don't know. Yeah, I think that is something that I definitely put in God's hands because I don't think we as Christians have much of a say on that because God is the one that elect and put those peoples.
Well, that's true.
Right in there, and we need to be true to what the Bible says. And unfortunately, every time election day comes in, either if it is midterm elections or presidential elections, it always reminds me of, and that's something that is not that people I've seen that people don't appreciate here in the United States. That always remind me when I was back in Venezuela, the first time that I voted, people usually, it's usually voting day is on a Sunday. Okay, I think it's the first week of November. And it's usually on a Sunday. They do it on a Sunday so everybody can go and vote. So voting usually starts very early in the morning, and it finishes 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's when they close. So they give a full day for every citizen to go and cast their vote. It's a big deal. People go with their flags. People go with their chairs. They sit down on, it's like a party. People go and exercise the right to vote. It's a big deal, right? You're voting for your elected officials. They make it a big deal. Here is not like that, as you know. I think that patriotism and that caring for your elected officials have left the building. So you don't have that sense. It's just easy to receive something in the mail, mail it out. When we were living in Miami, our voting place was very close to home, and I will usually just walk the day off and I cast my vote, in person. I really love that. It's a privilege, man. It's a privilege. So I think we have lost that privilege, through the years.
Yeah, we lost the excitement of what it means to have your voice be heard and have some sort of effect on the election.
Skin in the game.
Have some skin in the game. But so going back to so in Venezuela, there's people that camped out. They had their flag, they had their chairs, they had all this stuff, right? Yeah. And it was a big deal. But then then they realized, actually my vote really doesn't matter, right? Because it's the dictator. Yeah. They're rigging the election. So I mean,
since dictatorship, that has not been like that.
Oh, so people are,
there's still a lot of people like going, to the voting polls, but
they're
it
like down
like
in the
before.
dumps about it, right?
It wasn't like before. It was definitely just, it's sad. It's just really sad.
That is sad. So but my question to you now is like, based on this whole equity and inclusivity and all these things that the people on the left are branding, right? Why are they voting for the people that they're voting for? Right? Is it so? It goes back to they're saying the things that are easy for me to hear. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And therefore. And so, I agree with that. And I don't have to do that. I can get the government to do it for me. And therefore, I can get the residual effects of doing something virtuous, helping the needy or helping someone in need. Because I saw these posts when the government was sending out like $600 to families, right? Mm-hmm. And these people that are very young, and they're like, well, instead of sending $600 to the people that don't need it, why don't you send the $600 to people that do need it?
Okay, who are those?
Well,
who says who are those?
Right. Who's? How do you?
Who gets to decide?
Yeah, where's the metrics? Right.
Who are those?
Who are those people? But they in their head they already know who it is, right?
Of course.
I mean, they've got a scale.
Of course. And I think what is tricky sometimes.
I mean, and obviously they're on the receiving end of it, right? They're part of the group that's on the receiving end.
Yeah.
Right. Isn't that like grade school kind of thought mentality, right? The thought process of a grade school person. Well, you know what? That's not fair.
Life ain't fair, buddy.
And then you have this, the sliding grades, grading on a curve, right?
I think, everything starts with the family, man. It's just such an important driving mechanism for society, for community, for the country. Right? It's just you have to ingrain certain principles and ideologies and honor to your kids, and that's not happening in the family. There's a bunch of men that have checked out. I like this insert of this book that we're reading, The Household and the War for the Cosmos, Recovering a Christian Vision for Community. They talk about children, how children are increasingly believed to be useless or even bad to have, because we don't know what children are good for. Because of that, because we don't know what children are good for, we're having fewer of them. Since then, fertility has plummeting across the world. I don't know. What I've been trying to wrap my head around lately is, and this could sound a bit controversial, but we're here. We're the ones with the microphone, right?
That's right.
This is a free country, right?
Just say it, man.
So can a Christian be a Democrat? And then when I mean a Democrat, let's have some context in here, because democracy, being a Democrat for generations, for many years, have been something positive to look towards. Okay, democracy. How do we include democracy? How do we push democracy in these third world countries? Right? It's a nice word. I think a better question is not, can a Christian be a Democrat, but can someone who stands for liberal policies and ideologies call themselves a Christian? Can you call yourself a Christian and support abortion? Not according to the Bible.
Well, no.
Can you call yourself a Christian then consider anything other than biblical marriage marriage? Not according to the Bible. So when you start to compare politics, don't compare your Christianity to your politics. I think we should compare politics to Christianity and understand that the ways of the Bible supersede politics.
Yeah, and I think this is really is an interesting point, because when you start to pull these different values out, right, and they're now being voted on, right, and one party platform is voting for this, and one party platform is
Get
voting
my values.
against.
Get my values out of politics.
But here's the thing, right? This is a really great litmus test of like, hey, you can't serve two masters, right?
Yes.
Are you for Christ, or are you for the thing? Are you in the politics thing? Are you in the group thing, right? What group are you part of? So are you part of the group that is for Christ? Okay, if you're for Christ, then you're going to align your votes that are closest to Christ, right?
But why do we need politics to guide our livelihood?
Right.
Why do we need politicians and legislation to tell us how to live and how to treat people?
Well, we need the Bible to do that, right? We need the 10. That's why we have the 10 Commandments, right?
Well, everything starts at home.
Well, it does.
I don't need no counselor from the school to tell my girls how to behave.
Yeah.
I do not need that. Counselors from school, stay away from a child. Stay away from it. I do not need you. They have a mom and they have a dad.
And a dad, right?
And that's our responsibility. It's not the counselors at school.
There's people that don't want to put the work in parenting, so they put the parenting in the government's hand. Or in the school's hands, right? The parents the school has a better idea of how they should parent your children than the actual parents.
Yeah, sure. Good luck with that.
So the point is like, okay, so if you were saying, if you find yourself a Christian, right, and let's even put Christian in quotes, fall into the ideology of leftist thinking, right? Or even in the ideology of like far right radical like thinking. Are you for Christ, or are you for that thing? Whether you're on the very far right or you're on the very far left, right? Because let's not get this wrong. I mean, things that are on the very far right aren't good either.
Of course not. Of course not.
But I don't think that we're necessarily voting for those things.
Yeah.
The thing is with the things on the far left, we are voting for those things, and that's where it's scary. So can you be a Christian and vote for those things?
How many people voted this past election against what the person that they did not like? Just because they dislike somebody as a person, they voted against it.
And they were able to try to find things about who they were voting for.
There were many. Well, so is that the right way to vote?
Well, no. And here's the thing. They were able to convince themselves that, voting for this person is a good thing. You know, I've heard people that call themselves Christians go, you know what? I'm against abortion, but you know what? That's my own decision for my own family. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your own body, right? And that's such like a pacifist, weak, wimpy thing to say. Of course you're going to say that. You know, that's your family. You're going to want to preserve your own family. But when you want to preserve life and preserve what God has created and said is good, right? And then you have the repercussions of like one whole group coming after you if you were to be opposed to that. That's just chicken, man.
I think we're going to get canceled here.
I don't care. Dude, we're already canceled.
Kicking.
Yeah, the world has already canceled us, right? What did Jesus say? Jesus said, you know what? The world hated me.
They will hate you also.
They will hate you also.
That's it.
And, you know, so here's, as a Christian, right? If you're a Christian out there listening, you have to be okay with people hating you. Are your feelings strong enough to deal with people hating you? I know that it's so uncomfortable, right? It doesn't feel good when someone doesn't like you, right? It doesn't feel good to get scorn or people pointing their finger or a group of people against you yelling at you. It doesn't feel good.
But I love what Paul says in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 16. Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love.
Yeah.
What does love really means?
Well, love,
what does love does not mean?
Love doesn't mean that you're going to be selfish, right? Love isn't selfish, right? So look at 1 Corinthians and read that. Love is what? Love is patient. Love is kind. Keep going because my memory is weak. Right? It shows no what?
Love is patient, kind, does not envy or boast, is not arrogant or rude, and it does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things.
Yeah.
Love never ends. Verse 8. of chapter 13.
So when we take that, right, and we have a person that hasn't read a Bible, but they feel like they're super virtuous and like, yeah, and they, you know what they always, I shouldn't say they always say, but you know what, a lot of times they say, oh, I've read the Bible. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But they really haven't read it. But you know what, when they start saying stuff to you and they're saying things that are really offensive to Christ, and we have to remember 1 Corinthians chapter 13, right? How do we respond to these people? All too often I see people respond and they're trying to be loving, right? But they come off as snarky. Have you noticed that? Oh, isn't that nice? Oh, yeah, I know you feel that way. And it comes off as like patronizing.
They're trying to tell you that their way is best. But Paul, at the beginning of chapter 13, says, if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and knowledge, and if I have all faith, so I have to remove mountains, but I have no love, I have nothing. Nothing. Patronizing somebody because of what you think. That's not love.
No, it's not.
Love is truth. Love is telling somebody, dude, you're wrong, lovingly.
Well, but so my point is, how do
But
you
can't even say that anymore.
How do you come off lovingly? Like, because our human condition is so prone to.
Can you love people that you don't know?
Well, of course, right? You know, one pastor, the Grace is shaking herself. One pastor said, you know, love loves lovingly. All too often, like the immature person is going to see like love is like Valentine's. I'm feeling all these warm and fuzzies, and I'm seeing hearts like pop over their head.
And I want chocolate.
And I want chocolate, and I feel this way, and I go, oh my gosh,
Yes.
she likes me, and he likes me. It's like, oh my gosh, this is love.
Balloons, please, balloons.
But you know, when you think about it, love as a noun, loves as a verb, lovingly as an adverb. So love loves lovingly. So you know, when we read what Paul said in 1 Corinthians, this is how you love. As Christian men, and as men God made us somewhat of aggressive beings, right? As men, because we kind of have to be. We have to take charge. We have to fight what is not good. We have to battle people that are trying to attack us, right? But we have to temper that with love. If all we have is that, then we're just going to die, and it's misery.
Yeah,
right?
if all you have is that and you have no love.
Yeah, you might as well be dead. Right. So, but here's the thing. God made us men to be somewhat aggressive. And so we have to put on the armor of Christ, which is love. Because it's so hard, because we can lash back out and go, well, you're an idiot. You're a leftist, snowflake baby, cry baby, and that's not really effective, right?
In this election time, just in closing, how do we show love to our brothers and sisters, to those in our community that think differently, that act differently? How do we as Christian men show love upon them? How do we witness to them so we do not hinder the church as an organism, the global church? How do we do that? How do we do that well?
So here's my thought on that. So this is what I love about our Creator. He has never had to change, right? And he's never had to change his word. His word is constant, and it's pure, and it's good, right? And so as long as we stick on that, our execution, our delivery, our tactics with other people should always remain the same, no matter what the temperature is outside. But here's another thing to note. The people that are the opposite of Christ, they constantly have to change their tactics. The enemy constantly has to change his tactics. Have you noticed that? Mm-hmm. Right? So they're redefining certain things like this. Like, okay, you know what? We're going to redefine what a man is. We're going to redefine what a woman is. Oh, we're going to redefine what gender is, only to try to control the narrative, because they don't have a grasp on reality. Or truth, right? They don't have a grasp on truth. And therefore they have to continue to make stuff up in order to stay above the sand, because they built their house on the sand. But when you build your house on the rock, you don't ever have to change the positioning of your foundation. But when the sand is always moving, you have to always try to improvise and alter what you're doing. It's just to try to stay above the quicksand, right? Because the world, the enemy, the lies, is constantly moving, and it's quicksand, and it sucks people in, and they die in that, right? So they constantly have to shift their positions.
We have to be watchful. We have to pray about it. And I think we also have to allow God to use us in mighty ways to bring his kingdom come. We need to behave differently than the world does.
We have to be patient, right?
Differently. We're weird. We're supposed to be weird to what normal means right now. We're supposed to be weird. My God will supply every need of you according to his riches in glory.
Right.
Philippians 4. We need to stand in his truth. We need to trust him and him alone, that he's going to use us as he please. And we may not know how that look. He's going to use you in a way. He's going to use me in a way.
Yeah.
I could be very raw on the edges talking politics, but I love to talk politics with people that are in the other side that think different than me, not to confront and not to generate controversial in that conversation, but to understand where they're coming from and why they think like that. Because the more we understand where they are, the more we can grow in our grace towards them. Because I don't think our fight is not with these people. This is a battle that is being fought in the heavenly realms. This is a spiritual battle, and the enemy is using people to his advantage for division. Hey friends, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. This episode was sponsored by Cyricom Tech, your virtual IT department. Cyricom Tech provides a wide range of services for your business. Did you know that your team can work from home just as if they were in the office with the right tech? Cyricom Tech provides cybersecurity services, cloud services, IT support, infrastructure build, phone systems integrations, and much more. With more than 25 years of experience in the enterprise, Cyricom Tech is here to serve you. You can book a free consultation by calling 720-819-7388. Again, the number is 720-819-7388. Also on the web at cyricomtech.com. SIRECOM tech.com for more information. Until next time, God bless you.